You can save up to $80,000 by utilizing all of these programs when buying your first home. Yep, I added it all up, so make sure you stay tuned to understand the intricacies of each of these programs and how they kind of overlap with one another so you can maximize your benefits. Now, if you're starting your journey on owning your first home, whether it's just looking and browsing right now or just kind of doing your finances, congratulations. And if you want to have a lot of your questions that you're bound to have answered right now, you could do so by booking a call with me using a link that's on the screen. It's right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com, or you can click on the link in the description below so we can talk about all the perks that apply to you and how you can benefit from all of this. Simply click on the date and a time that works best for you. And then when you see the prompt, fill in your name, email, mobile phone number, and the question you have for me, and then we'll chat then. Hey everyone, welcome back to Prime Properties TO. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Zen and I own and run a RE/MAX in the Greater Toronto area where I help a lot of clients buy, sell, and invest in real estate on top of making awesome real estate content just like this one. So if you're enjoying the content I'm putting out there, do me a favor and like and subscribe so I can put more information out there so that you understand what's going on in the market. Now, over the years, a lot of first-time homebuyer perks have been brought up, they've been removed, they've been added, and they've gotten really long. So I want to take this video to kind of summarize all the things that you can get right now, effective as of 2024. So without further ado, let's get started. Number one, the land transfer tax rebates. This one is automatically deducted on your final bill when you go buy your home, right? So you just got to check a box with the lawyer saying that you're a first-time homebuyer, you get credited with it. Now, when you're calculating your closing costs, you can just subtract $8,475 if you're buying a property in Toronto. And if you're wondering where the boundaries of Toronto are, I'll put a map on the screen for you so you can make sure. Now, if you're outside of Toronto, but you're still in Ontario, in regions such as York, Durham, Peel, Halton, so these are your suburbs like Sauga, Richmond Hill, Vaughan, Markham, Brampton, Oakville. Instead of $8,475, you get $4,000 off, right? And this does not stack if you have a partner. So it's just that one land transfer tax rebate for one property. And if you or your partner are not a first-time homebuyer, you can qualify for half of that. Number two, the first-time homebuyer's tax credit. I would say a lot of first-time homebuyers generally forget this, right? So the tax year that you close your first home, just make sure you check a box when you're filing your taxes to get a tax credit of $750. I'll put a picture of what the box and what the line items on the screen for you so that you remember. Number three, the home buyer's plan, or HBP for short, or what I generally call the RRSP plan, because that's what people know it by. So you're allowed to borrow $35,000 from your RRSP to buy your first home. And you can essentially use this money for anything once you have firmed up on the property. And it's very easy to do. You just go to the bank, you fill out a 1 or 2 page, I think it's 2-pager now, and you just withdraw the money and you don't have to pay tax on it. It just gets moved to your checking account. Now, where it gets complicated is the utilization of the RRSP, right? So the money has to be in your RRSP for 90 days before closing for it to qualify. So if you haven't topped up your RSP to $35,000, you should definitely do it once you start looking at any property, because on the off chance you need to close a little bit earlier, you want to give yourself time for the closing and that $35,000 to stay in the account for 90 days or more. Now, if you're self-employed, make sure you utilize the RSP on your higher earning years, because the higher your income, the larger your tax bill gets reduced with an RSP. So make sure you kind of time that correctly based on kind of where your career is. Now, this also stacks with when you're qualifying for a mortgage as well. So generally, if you're self-employed, you kind of pony up the last 2 years for paying high taxes to qualify for the most mortgage and the highest RSP. And just remember this though, the RSP is a vehicle that you can invest in, so you can buy stocks, whatever you want, right? Just make sure that whatever you invest in is liquid enough so that you can, sell it for cash on closing and withdraw it from your RSP. And obviously, this may not sound obvious, but make sure it's not a volatile thing where it puts your closing in jeopardy. And anyone that is on title, that's a first-time homebuyer, can utilize this program. Now, you do have to pay this $35,000 back because you're borrowing it from yourself, right? So you got 17 years to pay it off, with the first 2 years essentially being a grace period. So after the second year, you have to pay $2,333 every single year back to your RSP to repay it. Now, number four, the first-time home savings account, or FHSA, which I'm going to call it for short in this one because it's a very long name. This is the new one, and it works very similar like the home buyer's plan, the HBP, similar to the fact that it's the mechanisms of RSP. And this type of account can generally be opened at most banks. And if you have not bought your first home yet, just go open it anyways. You'll see why. Just go open it, right? And every year that it's opened, the room, meaning the money you can put in, increases by $8,000. So even if you don't contribute $8,000 in the year you open it and you let it roll on to the next year, you'll have $16,000 the following year, right? Because 8 plus 8 is 16. And there's a lifetime limit of $40,000, or essentially in 5 years from opening it, it's going to get maxed out. And I'll note that even if you don't end up buying your first home, the FHSA can be just moved into the RRSP without any penalties, right? So by opening an account, it's just extra RRSP room for you to use. Hence, open the account, right? Now, the FHSA account must be closed when you buy your first home, you become 71, because I guess you should have owned your first home by now, or you've had the account open for 15 years. And you don't buy a home within those periods I just indicated, that amount you would have had in your FHSA can be moved to your RSP. Now, if you have more than $35,000 in your RSP, you can actually move your RRSP money into your FHSA account so you can buy a home faster and you can draw more money out of those accounts. Because, essentially the two accounts are interchangeable, without any penalties. So that's kind of why I was saying it's very similar to the RSP. So you just have to make sure you understand it's also an investment vehicle. Time it with your larger earning years to maximize the amount of benefits you're going to get out of it, meaning that your tax bill is lower or you get a larger tax credit, depending on how your taxes work, right? And between those 4 programs, there is a combination of $80,000 that I've kind of added up from rebates, tax credits, reduced tax bills, and a whole bunch of stuff, right? And those are the 4 big benefits that every first-time homebuyer should know and utilize when they're buying their first home. So make sure you optimize for those things because, they do kind of make a difference to an extent. And there you have it. Those are the 4 big benefits every first-time homebuyer should be utilizing because it can add up to $80,000 per household in the property that they're buying, and it does move the needle, right? Now, there are other programs out there, but they're all kind of useless if you ask me, right? So I'm not going to talk about it. So if you do have any other questions about your journey to buying your first home, because let's be real, there's going to be tons of it, you could do so by booking a call with me using the link that's on the screen. It's right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com, or the link is in the description below. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya! Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one or this one? You know what? Just watch them both.